Ladies and gents, welcome back to another video, and today I am, well, it's turtleneck weather. It's cold here in England. It's the only time of the year that it is acceptable to dress like, well, Dino Brewster from Need for Speed, as I've been told. So you join me today for the second rumble in the Thunderdome, and by that I am referring to, of course, none other than TitanReach. Many of you will remember TitanReach from a previous video I made talking about the downfall of TitanReach. TitanReach was an indie MMO that was doing pretty well. It was funded, it was being developed by a passionate team of people, and unfortunately, I won't go too much into it in this video, as the other video fully covers this, but the CEO mismanaged money, misused it, and inevitably they had to call it quits. The project came to a halt. Now, that's where that story kind of ended, but of course, you're watching a video about TitanReach, so what's happened recently with TitanReach? Because I have to say, I wasn't prepared for what I found, in the slightest. So, a few days ago, a Kickstarter was sent to me. TitanReach. The same TitanReach, the same logo. It was undoubtedly TitanReach, re-campaigning on Kickstarter. Now, the little tidbit here that made me investigate it further, because it didn't quite make sense to me, is the fact that it's now run by a different studio. A studio called Archage Studio, not to be confused with Archage, the game. There's going to be a lot of naming confusions in this video, but bear with me. Have taken on the mantle to develop TitanReach, and they are doing so by refunding it on Kickstarter, which that's fair, I guess, makes sense. You know, the project went broke, it needs money for a second round. And yeah, it's all kosher, it's all good. Happy days. Now, when I first started to make this video, I thought I was going into this as a positive spin on this story, you know, a return to form and redemption of TitanReach. Somebody else is carrying on the legacy of developing this game, and everyone's happy, right? What's there to not be happy about in that scenario? Well, if that was the case, that would be great, but the more I looked into this, the more I realised something was a little bit off. For starters, again, they are looking for $100,000 to develop an entire MMO. And furthermore, they have an apparent team of one developer, which I was later told is 6, but it only shows 1. Now, as the saying always goes, this is when I truly fell down the rabbit hole. Because upon investigating the website and a bit further than that, there were a lot of things that were just raising red flags left, right and centre. So I took it upon myself to reach out to Unravel, the previous owner of this project. And this is where the story really starts to show through and really starts to unfold, well, unravel, if you want to use that joke. So I decided to do a bit more digging into Archage Studios. And it turns out they've previously released a game. Great, right? Well, no, because as I said, I asked to interview both Unravel and the owner of this new studio. So let's take a look at that. They'd previously released a game called End of Days, and it had 51 reviews, mostly negative, and as rightfully pointed out by all of the people who played this is one giant asset flip. I guess if you were to title this game, it would be Unreal Engine Marketplace, the game. Because that's what it was, that's what it is. It's simply a jumble of assets, all put together fairly coherently, I want to say. However, there's no gameplay there. There is nothing to do. Everyone says the same thing. There is nothing to do. So this led me further down the rabbit hole. And through a few methods, I actually stumbled upon the Twitter of the guy that owns this. And sure enough, there are links to 3 other GoFundMe campaigns that had previously failed. And along with those tweets, with links to the GoFundMes that have all failed, there is also a link to his YouTube channel, connecting the man to the project. Now, what's really troubling here is the fact that all of the videos on this guy's channel are quite simply him struggling to get Unreal Engine plugins and marketplace assets to work as he intended. They claim they are able to make with 1 to 6 people, depending on where you look at the source for this, a full-on MMO. And I can tell you with certainty, looking at these videos, it's absolutely not. No, not happening. No bueno. Now, through using the California Business Search feature, we've actually found that the studio is registered to this guy, which further helps connect back to the other social media accounts that were previously linked. Now, between that and the fact that I said there are more red flags, such as this job listing page where they're showing off the Archage studio office, well, something felt wrong here. It's not their office. And I know that for an absolute fact because it's literally a stock image with their logo pasted over the top of it. Here are the side-by-sides. Now, while this alone may not be a complete cause for calling this a scam, it certainly isn't helping their credibility, because if they're lying about the fact that they have an office and that this is their office, what else are they lying about? Well, as I previously mentioned, I interviewed both Unravel, the previous developer of this game, and the owner of Archage Studios. And this is where the blatancy of this whole thing really starts to get to me, because it's almost like they're not even trying to hide the fact that they have actually stolen the intellectual property from the original TitanReach team. Now, after being accepted for an interview with the Archage Studio team, I sent off some questions on Discord. 1. What made you decide to pick up the TitanReach project? Their response: in regards to taking over TitanReach, the reason we picked it up is because it had so much more to offer. Thousands of people were lined up and ready to play, and it honestly went crashing down due to mainly one guy, Unravel. TitanReach the game didn't cause the damage, it was the lead developer. We hear a lot that we shouldn't take the project, but in reality, it was one person who made the mistake, not the entire game or team behind it. Thus, we felt it was time for someone else to take on the project, bring it back to life and give it the justice it deserved, and give the players/backers the game they were promised. I kind of expected that as a response, because some of these questions were purely bait to make it look like I wasn't investigating the game for fraud. So, some of these are just questions, but we get into the spicy ones. Trust me. 2. What team size does TitanReach have currently, and what are the goals? We have 6 developers who are a mixture of part-time/full-time. We all come from different backgrounds, with some coming from actual game studios who are involved in a lot of major AAA productions. Our goal is to bring to life TitanReach using lots of the same ideas/concepts that made TitanReach exciting, but with our own twist and other concepts added in. I can guarantee from my research on the team, there is no AAA development team behind this at all. 3. How did the initial handover of the project and IP come to happen? IP meaning intellectual property. Well, that one was a little interesting, as it was almost like trying to pull teeth. We originally contacted Unravel through an admin email that he had attached to one of the social media platforms. We didn't know who would be answering on the other end. All we wanted was to take over the title. We wanted nothing else from them, as their style was not what we were going for, and we were using Unreal Engine, whilst they used Unity. So nothing from them would have been useful in any way. Communication lasted for about a week, and then went silent. We go to respond to the email, and it was no longer valid. Finally, this person came back around and says that they disbanded the project/team and have no interest in any of the name or assets, and told us to do with the name what we want. After legal verification of ownership, we moved forward with the name and took control. We declined all other assets, etc. So this is the answer that has some truth and has very mixed responses, let's say. So I reached out to Unravel for comment on this, and this is what he had to say. When I heard about this, I was actually excited. I'd love for someone to properly take over TitanReach and finish what I couldn't. I joined their Discord and saw only a handful of people, but those people were my old friends and community members. They were all hyped about this. I was invited to join a stream with the 2 devs to discuss what they have and see the live game. I left feeling terrible that they got all these people's hopes up for something that is akin to a high school project. I was rooting for them and even offered to give everything TitanReach related to them. IP, source, assets, everything. But after I saw that it was one programmer and level or game designer, and in my opinion being both amateurs at that from what I saw, I no longer had faith in giving them anything to continue. I've been on this road, MMOs are large and costly to make. My strong opinion is even if they somehow managed to raise the 100k from Kickstarter, it wouldn't get them far at all. What I saw was Unreal assets galore. It was very early development, I didn't even see combat or any skilling. It was just them walking around in this lackluster looking landscape and not doing much at all. After this, I actually told them stop using the name TitanReach, and they refused. They banned me from the Discord, and that's where we're at. Now, an interesting point here is that between both these conversations that I've had with both people, they both say the same thing. They communicated for about a week, discussing a potential takeover, and then communications fell off and it came to an end. Despite this, Archage Studios was still developing a game that they did not own the IP rights to, regardless of whether after the fact, Unravel decided that he may want to pursue this avenue, and then later decided again, no, this is a bad idea, I've seen what they've been working on, it's garbage, and he's right. Question 3.1. What working relationship, if any, do you have with the original team? Eventually word got out and some members of their original team joined the Discord who just wanted to see and hear about. It started to sound like the We Hate Unravel club really quick. Hearing about how it all affected their lives, their futures and careers. Not too long later, the man himself joins the Discord. Instantly, our team was apprehensive about him being in the Discord at all. And then he went on and started saying some insane stories about how his business partner wanted the name back and that his business partner was going to relaunch TitanReach. So we decided, yeah, you're done. So we banned him from the Discord, and after confirmation from the others who knew him, what Unravel said about his business partner was another lie out of pure jealousy that we were going to bring back the project he screwed up. So to make a long story short, none of the actual team members from the original TitanReach are involved in the project. They are simply bystanders who are hoping this time around the game can be successful. So again, we've got two statements that both match from talking to both people here, yet they completely vary in details. They both agree that Unravel said he was banned from the Discord. Archage Studios are saying they ban him from the Discord. Now, I spoke to a lot of people that were in the Discord and active at the time that he was banned. And from what I've been told, none of that actually happened. That's not what he said. He simply came in, wished them the best of luck, whether that be sarcastically or genuinely, and he was instantly banned. Numerous people I've spoken to have relayed the same information to me independently. So it does seem to be the case that he was banned just because he was there. Obviously because they don't own the IP and they are still pressing on forward using the name and logo of TitanReach, which they do not own. The TitanReach team still own it. And until it's in writing or any sort of agreement, that is still their intellectual property, as they never came to an arrangement on actually transferring the IP. As they said, communication was dropped. Number 4. What games have you previously released or made? This would be the studio's first official release. With the studio and the current team, we have done contract work in the past, but that was small projects here and there. This is now 3.5 years in the making and our first official release. So, there are two things here that are major takeaways that you should really look into and really think about. One, this is their first release. We have factually proven that that is wrong. The previous game that I showed you is now unlisted and hidden off the main page. You can only find it through the URL on Steam. So that's an outright blatant lie. This is not their first game. They would like you to think it is because their last game was such an abysmal failure that they don't want you to know it exists. And secondly, if this is their first release of a game and it's 3.5 years in the making, that right there is admittance that they were stealing intellectual property 3.5 years ago. That's admission right there. Now, it could be taken to mean TitanReach as an overall thing is 3.5 years in the making. But this question is in response to what is their experience? And that's what they answered with. I find these answers to be really strange. They're almost admitting what we already know, but they don't seem to think there's anything wrong with it when it's blatant theft. Now, to clarify that this is the case, some of the developers, moderators, and community managers from the previous TitanReach project have all been coming out and explicitly stating that this isn't real. This is a complete fraud. It's an obvious cash grab, and it is nothing to do with them, and there is no agreement that they are to develop this game. Now, at this point, this almost seems like one of these NFT Web3 scams where, you know, people just take someone's IP and say, haha, Web3 is my defense. Honestly, at this point, I was expecting Web3 to jump out of a closet at me and just be like, ah. But no. No Web3 mentioned at all anywhere. And then just really as the nail in the coffin, we've got good old exploits to the rescue. So they are using a payment portal called Xsolar. Now, Xsolar is something you will know from many other games, and if you've ever played on Minecraft servers that have buyable in-game items or buyable in-game ranks, you've probably seen this name. Xsolar is a portal for microtransactions. They allow you to have a web dashboard where you can set listings, and when somebody purchases from that listing, it will run arbitrary code on the server to give them said item or give them buffs or ranks or name changes. Honestly, it's pretty common, but it is a disgusting platform. That's a topic for another video. However, there is something you can do on Xsolar which is interesting. If you can actually query their API and see all the listings that this game studio has on the marketplace, even if they are listed as hidden from the user. It will still return a list of the purchases. And, well, one of them happens to be Arch coins for a game that's not even out yet. Now, admittedly, they are hidden and not purchasable at this current time. But the worst part is, you can currently, in their game launcher, already purchase the game that doesn't exist. You can purchase it for $39.99 USD. I just don't get this. Now, to me, this seems like a case of it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. And I think that's what they went with here after stealing the intellectual property. However, they forgot that if they don't get forgiveness, well, even if they do, they still don't have permission. And realistically, that's where we're at right now. Now, I've not seen anyone cover this topic, but I think it's really important as so many people are jumping back into this, thinking that this is a legitimate takeover of an old project. And they are willing to refund it, as in fund it again, to make sure that their dream comes true. Now, this company that I have seen claims of that they have the source code, launcher, and all the engine files for the previous version of TitanReach, I have been categorically told they do not. They do not have any of the previous work that went into this. So this is really strange. So that's where this mystery ends for now. I'm really interested to follow up on this and see where this goes, especially after this video comes out. Ladies and gents, I hope this has been informative. I hope you've enjoyed watching this absolute disaster unfold in real time. I sure am. And as always, guys, a massive thank you to the patrons. If you want to help support these videos, if you want to help support my content, please consider joining said Patreon. It goes a long way. And as always, until next time, take care.